What's up, everybody, and welcome back to another movie review. I'm Chase Lee, and the movie I want to take a look at right now is Gemini Man. Now, this one comes from Paramount Pictures. It is directed by Ang Lee, and this one stars Will Smith as a hitman who's been in the business for a very, very long time. People rely on him, governments rely on him to take out whatever they need to take out, and he is one of the best, if not the best, in the business. He does one final job and he wants to retire after this. And so when he is starting his retirement, people are coming after him. They want to kill him because he's a loose end on the previous mission that he was on. He eventually runs into younger Will Smith, who is faster, more agile, more precise with his hits, and slightly robotic. So he's like, "What is this? Is it like a clone of me, a robot? Like what's going on?" And Clive Owen is the mastermind behind this clone as he runs the corporation Gemini. I won't spoil to you why he cloned him. It's not that important anyways, but I won't spoil that just in case if you want to watch it. Going into this movie, I wasn't expecting a lot. When I saw the trailer, I appreciated the kind of de-aging, which I thought it was at the time. The de-aging technology on Will Smith, I was like, in some shots, it looks pretty good. The action looks interesting. This, at the very least, could look like an entertaining movie that you could sit down in front of for 2 hours and go, I enjoyed myself, had a couple drinks, I just had a fun time at the theaters. That's all I was expecting. This has to be the dullest movie I have seen all year. When you have a movie that has Will Smith in front of it, Ang Lee behind it, Jerry Bruckheimer as a producer, I'm not saying he's like one of the best in the business, but he knows how to create blockbuster entertainment. It's an expensive movie, so you have the cameras that were shooting it in 120 frames per second, which makes my head hurt. In 3D, this was an expensive project with A-list talent all involved. Why did this movie look like a Redbox movie? Like, this was like the Redbox special that you would see next to a 7-Eleven with the Gemini Man, come buy it or rent it for $1.50. It's just like, that's what it looked like. It looked worse than a Netflix movie. And this was super expensive. How was this possible? So to start with Ang Lee, listen, I love this guy. Brokeback Mountain, Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. I love Life of Pi a lot, and I'll get back to that in just a second because that movie kind of has some stuff like this movie. Life of Pi, I didn't see Billy Lynn's Long Halftime Walk, but that was also where he experimented with the high frame rate cameras. So this is what he likes to do. He's pulling the Peter Jackson like he did with the Hobbit films, and they're pushing the frame rates, and they're making it beyond 24 frames per second, which is what films normally are, and they're doubling that to 48 or making it even 72 and tripling it, or even going up as high as 120 and making your eyeballs feel like they're watching something alien-like. It's just... when you have motion smoothing on your film that's just completely gone, it just looks hyperactive. It doesn't look real, and it messes with the mind. And I don't really like it that much. I like the 24 frames. So Ang Lee is a really great director. I have no idea why he was on this movie. This movie has like 500 screenwriters. A lot of people involved. This thing has been through the ringer script-wise. It's been blacklisted. It's been all over the place, right? And so getting the talents of like an Ang Lee to do this film and kind of pushing the technology for like the younger Will Smith and the high frame rate and stuff, that all sounds great in theory, but why would you apply it to this movie? The story to this movie is super minimalistic, and it's not interesting. It's boring. It's lifeless. It's just people going to different places, getting some exposition, action set piece, getting a little bit of exposition, action set piece. Here's the villain's final plan, and then we end it with a terrible young Will Smith scene in the daylight, and then the movie ends. And you're like, what was the point of that? And it's a script that like it spells out everything for you. It doesn't keep anything mysterious. It tells you everything, even down to a point when old Will Smith is talking to his younger self. He's like, yeah, you're a workaholic, you push people away, blah, blah, blah. He's yelling out all these like personality traits that they have, the character traits that they possess out to the audience when they have mentioned it earlier in the movie, like he is that way in conversation, and then he had to spell it out for us. Villain had to spell it out. Mary Elizabeth Winstead had to tell him that was his clone like 500 times. It's a movie that tells you everything. What is the point in that? And so not only was the script just kind of bare bones and really nothing to it, spells out everything. The characters aren't interesting. Will Smith's hitman and his background, it's just like, okay, he plays a pretty traditional hitman. He never really married or anything. He loves his job. He pushes people away. Cool, nothing more to that. Mary Elizabeth Winstead, she's a part of the government. Cool, that's all we know about her. I think Benedict Wong got lost on set, and they were filming some Doctor Strange thing next door. He wandered on to set and he's like, I'm going to be in this movie. And you're like, no, Benedict, no. There's no point for him to be there. Clive Owen was hamming it up as the villain. And I don't mind that traditionally if you're going to go down like the hammy route for any movie. But I just didn't care. It just, ugh. And so to kind of speak on the lifeless kind of approach to it. So the script is whatever. It's just kind of like, it's like a C-level script. It's nothing more than that. So that's where your movie's starting out for me already, is on a C-level grade. And the reason why I'm going to dip it down is because Ang Lee doesn't bring any type of vision to this movie. Everything looks like a video game cutscene. Everything looks like people are in front of green screens. Everything's overly lit. And I know why they did this, because it's for the stupid high frame rate. It doesn't look real. Nothing does. Even when they're just sitting out in a field or talking at a train station or whatever, nothing looks real. And you have to overly light stuff like that because the high frame rate, it picks up on light differently. And it's so there's no visual flair to this movie. Even the action sequences are boring. They're uninspired. They have a motorcycle fight at one point. Okay. And with the younger Will Smith, which is actually a fully animated thing, by the way. I thought it was just de-aging. It's a fully animated thing. When it's fighting in action scenes, it looks like a rubber person. There's no grounded grit to anything. It's just like people flopping around all over the place, and it takes you out of the experience because it looks so fake. Because we're not there yet in the technologies to where we can have a fully realized person in CGI and make it look realistic. And this even goes back to, when I had problems with like the Star Wars movies that had fully CGI people. I don't like it. It doesn't look real. Wait until that technology is there, and then you can apply that to your movies and make it look like a real person. Because the thing is, when younger Will Smith is in like the dark areas of the movie, or like in an action sequence in the dark, it looks okay. It's passable. But when it's like in the daylight, or like there's too much light on him, it looks like rubber. It does not look like a real person. Even if it's just like a robotic clone and needs to have some type of texture on the skin, anything to resemble any type of human muscle movement in the face, we're not there yet. Oh, it's so frustrating because they spent so much money and technology on this movie. Why this movie? And then when younger Will Smith is in the daylight, it looks horrid. It is terrible. The mouth movements don't work well for the ADR voice. Nothing about that works. So Ang Lee, definitely no vision to this movie. He's trying, but when you're working with like a very generic kind of action script, there's no reason to apply this much effort and money into this type of project. Hold it off for something else. And the reason why I mentioned Life of Pi and the slight connection is that also used a lot of green screen trickery, a lot of brightly lit scenes and stuff that Gemini Man kind of looks like. But the story was engaging. The survival tale of this kid and the lion, or tiger, excuse me. Everything about it was really investive, regardless of some of the special effects work was shoddy. This, you just don't care about anything, so everything just looks like a video game cutscene. Will Smith, I thought, was just kind of subpar. He's the lead in this movie, and he does not sell me on anything. It's just kind of like he's there, he's delivering his lines, he's trying his hardest when he's like yelling or like being a threat towards someone. He's trying his best, but it's coming out so weak and so just rigid. You're like, this is not the Will Smith that I know. Like, what are you doing? Very subpar from him. Mary Elizabeth Winstead, who I typically love, even back to when I first saw her in Final Destination 3, subpar in this. Benedict Wong, why were you in this? Stumbled across set. Clive Owen, like I said, he hams it up a little bit, but there's not enough there. He has one scene with the clone, and the clone's kind of realization that he is a clone. It's just like, that looked fake because the tears, I think, were animated as well, and just everything about it looks fake and ridiculous. So yeah, I just thought all the acting was just kind of like whatever. So even they could not elevate this kind of middle of the road script. I don't know what to tell you. The people in my audience were enjoying this movie. Some of them were like shocked and surprised when they found out the twist. I was like, you guys watch a lot of movies? So it's passable entertainment at best, but at worst, it is a slog. It's boring. It's not really inventive at all when it comes to the technology, and the story is boring to boot. So it doesn't. Nothing about it can kind of take you along for this ride. It's just kind of like a muddled movie that once it's done, you realize that you kind of wasted your time. So I'm gonna give Gemini Man a D. I didn't really care for it, so wait for it when it hits streaming. It's Paramount, and they have a deal with Hulu, so maybe it'll be on Hulu after a while, so check it out then. But that's my review of Gemini. What did you think of the movie? Please comment down below and let me know. And that will do it for this review, guys. I'm Chase Lee, and tune in next time for whatever I review next. I will see you guys later.